Hey everyone, one more time, this is episode 2, season 1, Rick and Morty. So, this episode's about Snuffles and also Dreams with Scary Terry. I don't really like this episode. I've skipped it every time I've watched Rick and Morty. I'm not sure why. So I'm just gonna fluke this. First scene, Jerry, Snuffles. Jerry says, "What?
Why are you looking at me?
Why are you looking at me? Do you want to go outside?" Outside? Points outside. Gets up, goes to the door, and points outside. Snuffles doesn't move. He doesn't respond. And he sits down agitated, and then Snuffles pees on the floor, and he goes, "Are you kidding me?" Alright. So what's going on here is Jerry is identifying the world as something that's within his control. And because we can only control things that are within our control, i.e. ourselves, when we do what Jerry's doing, we are agitated by that which is not within our control, doing things that we don't want it to do. So I would say, like, the controller is controlled by the need to control the uncontrollable. We spend our lives being manipulated because we're trying to manipulate that which we don't have any control over. So Jerry's angry at Morty because he's praising Snuffles, and he thinks Snuffles doesn't need praise because then he's going to do more stuff that he doesn't want him to do. And so Morty's doing something out of his control, and Snuffles is doing something out of control, and he's just stressing out. He's drawn his circle around things that are not him, when we should really just draw our circles around us and try to control ourselves, manage ourselves, self-regulate. Summer also said, "Oh my God," when Snuffles peed on the ground, but she didn't get agitated because she doesn't want to control the world. Now Jerry's saying, "Can you make something to make Snuffles smarter?" And in Jerry's mind, he wants to be able to stop Snuffles from doing things he doesn't want to. So Rick goes off and does it because Jerry took something that's important to Rick and said, "Look, if you don't do it, then I will ground Morty." And that's important to Rick because Rick wants Morty for adventures. So that way, what he's doing is, even on the level of conscious thought, he's using something that someone's given value against them, which affects their emotions. And once their emotions are affected, then the thoughts that come from that emotion, they have to deal with that. So Rick just folded and went, "Look, I don't want to deal with this, I'll just do what he says." But he was influenced because he gives value to taking Morty on adventures. Rick told Snuffles, sit, roll on the floor, go to the toilet. Snuffles did it. There was open communication and cooperation. He wasn't controlling Snuffles. Snuffles just was able to respond to the tasks, but of his own free will, and that's very different to control. Humans can, with their free will, do what other people want them to do. If you ask nicely, if you have common decency and show respect, most of the time people, out of appreciation or love or just respect, will do or not do things to save you sort of stress. So Rick's made a device that allows you to enter people's dreams. He mentions Inception, and he says that movie that he says it's like Inception, but it actually makes sense. Morty says that movie does make sense, and Morty represents some of those people who pretend to understand something that maybe it doesn't make sense in order to seem smart. Now, a lot of people in this situation would, if they had that belief, like that specific belief, yeah, Inception makes sense, and they were pretending. When Rick, who's a genius, says Inception didn't make any sense, they'd probably jump to the other extreme and say, okay, a smart person thinks that Inception doesn't make sense. So now I think and will say Inception doesn't make sense. But really, that's just doing the same thing. It's not using your own discernment. If you use your own discernment in watching Inception and it made sense to you, then you can say it makes sense to me. If it didn't, you can say it didn't make sense to me, but it's personal. The minute you start saying objective truth claims, Inception does make sense. Inception is a brilliant philosophical movie. You're putting something in. You're making a claim, an absolute claim that people can attack and reject and whatever. And if people attack your personal beliefs, you can say, look, it's my personal belief, I'm allowed to have it. But if they attack an objective claim, then you feel challenged and there's no authority or substance to that claim. I hope that makes sense. Whereas a personal thought, you do have authority. It's subjective authority. So Rick's going to incept the teacher of Morty, in his maths teacher, to make him want to give A's to Morty. And dreams is like a metaphor for people's conscious thought, right? So what they're going to do, they're going to go below a person's conscious thought and then make them and get to the root and change the root so that the thoughts that come out of the root, which will be emotions most probably, emotions that come out of that will give them a new dream and therefore they will act differently. So here they go. Off to the teacher's place. And so they're going to go into his dream. First thing I'll say is in his dream, I remember there is a lady in his dream, a celebrity that the teacher likes, that he gives importance to. He's got a crush on her or something. And so she's in his dream. Mrs. Crumb Cakes or something.
I'll take 2. Oh, I think you've had enough, sir. You don't know me. Time to make our move.
So Rick's going to make a move, and the first thing that he does, he tries to scare him. He tries to threaten him. He says, give him A's in maths or we're going to blow up the plane. But on this conscious level, the teacher has too much power, or the dream of the teacher has too much power over the teacher. If you get killed in someone's dream, you die for real, says Rick. I don't think that has any reference to real life. Well, it does. If people dream that you suck, if they devalue you, they create an image of you that lacks value, then basically they no longer see you, they just see the image. So in a way, you've died in someone's dream, but not in real life. Just in their personal life, the other person's life. So they're mistreating Snuffles. Poor Snuffles. Snuffles is trying to communicate something to them, but he's unable to. They don't have the same language, they don't have the same understandings, and so they project something onto what he's saying. They say he loves lasagna, he loves Obama. So that's inference again. They're just inferring a meaning from the world, from Snuffles, and then projecting that back on Snuffles. If they didn't make the inference, it wouldn't exist. So Snuffles sees he's got a helmet on, and it's got low battery, so he's gone in the drawer, he's getting the batteries out, and we can assume that he's putting the batteries in. It doesn't show that. Now Rick says we're both rational beings, but we're not. Our rationality is just the result of balance or imbalance in us, and the specific structures that we have in place that lend to more thoughts. It's a bit like a crossword. You know, you've got certain words filled in, and depending on what words you've got filled in means you can get different answers and fill more of the board in. Well, we think we're rational, but we're really only just building on the tree of knowledge we already have, or the experiences we already have, or the ideas that we already have, the information. So it's not so much prudence and discernment and free flow, generally speaking, as it is just seeing what is we're sort of preordained to see, because we've already ordained ourselves with certain structures. And so it's not going to work. So Rick pulls a trick on him. He does the whole threaten something that's valuable to the teacher. Now it works again, and that is because if we give value to something in the external world, then someone else can take that thing and use it against us. The values like morality and principles and the lines that we draw for ourselves, things that are in the mind, they can't really be used against us so much because they can't be held, and we're always regulating ourselves and acting within our values, so someone can't make us do anything. But if it's an external value, they can use it against us. That's not to say that valuing things in the external world, loving people and stuff, caring about people, is a bad thing. Just that be aware that it can be used to get to your emotions and change your mind, or obligate you to certain actions. So fluking this, I don't know when to fast forward. I don't know if I mentioned that, but alright, so it didn't work. So Rick's gonna go even deeper than threats, deeper than using people's values against them. And so they've gone to the next level, which is a bit perverted. It's kind of like the things that the teacher has repressed, but they're still in his conscious mind. Morty's gonna go and just ask straight out, but Rick says the trick is to make them think they came up with the idea. Good advice. But he says you got to blend, and so how do I explain this? When nasty people try to get people to do things, they just try and force them into it with threats of violence. When manipulators try to get people to do things, they trick them. They play the role of a friend, or a parent, or not an adversary, but someone on their side. So certain countries have flags. They get people to value the symbol and identify with the symbol. Then they say the symbol stands for this. This being some sort of category that you can group yourself into. And then once they've got people grouped into that category, they say, we stand for this. We do this. We don't do that. And all the people that believe they're in that in-group, who've identified with the in-group, will do those things. So they're subtly manipulating them by pretending they're on the same side, even though their agenda is very nasty. And this happens in cults. It happens in happens anywhere that there's groups. Is if there's a group of people, then the wolves in sheep's clothing can come in and trick people. The media seems to do it. The media says we. What the media tends to do, what I've noticed, is pretend that they're speaking for the consensus, but there's not actually a consensus there. However, when people on the couch watching and listening start to begin to think that the media is telling them what the consensus is, they join in too because they want to be part of the consensus. And what that does is it's instead of giving you the consensus, I give you what I want you to think and do. Then you, thinking it's the consensus, join in, and I've created a consensus. I've created a consensus by getting the people on the couch to all think that what I'm telling you is the consensus, and it creates one. And now there's a whole bunch of ego children, my ego children, who think what I want them to think. The media does that really well. They've got the people's trust. So in the dream, Summer's in it. It's a bit pervy. Rick and Morty freak out big time, and that's because they reject Summer being like that. So because they're rejecting something, they feel frustrated, agitated, disgusted, you know. And that's the thing about rejection is as long as it's an active thing that we do. As long as we're rejecting anything, then we are basically participating in a grudge where whenever the subject that we're rejecting comes into our consciousness, we feel uncomfortable. And so the way out of that is generally to stop rejecting a thing, whether it be a person, whether it be a certain kind of people, whether it be an experience that we had. People say, oh, you just have to forgive, and you've got to forgive, and it's for you, it's not for the other person. What they mean is, what's underlying that ambiguous word of forgiveness is actually just that you're rejecting something and you just cease rejecting. You can just go straight to the root, cease rejecting it, then the subject becomes irrelevant, all your hang-ups about it become redundant, and the thing disappears, becomes unimportant, and it no longer stays on your conscious mind. And even when that personal event, you're exposed to it, it won't call up all this discomfort. Now, I have to say that that's not the same for trauma and PTSD. That goes a little bit deeper, and I can't comment on that right now.
Whoa, hey, buddy, what you got going on there?
So Snuffles has upgraded himself so that they can understand him. So now there's open communication possible.
Okay, yeah, I get what Beth was talking about. Mine's over.
And even though he can be understood, they totally dismiss him. Now, Summer says you can't endow a creature with sentience and then rip it away. Of course, you could, but it would seem really sad because we're recognizing that a creature that becomes sentient is like us. Humans are sentient, so another creature that's sentient, we have a sentiment for them, and wouldn't want to do harm to them. But interestingly, that's because we've personified them. We've thought of them as humans. Anything that we personify, if we give it names, if we define it as valuable, or anything that's related to humans, we build up an attachment to it. However, every living being is valuable. Humans are living beings. So if you say, shouldn't harm any living being. They all deserve life, and then you're also including yourself in that category. And you don't really have much choice but to be compassionate for all living beings then, because it's all one kind and you're in it. You can't be superior to it, you can't be inferior to it. And hurting it is hurting life itself, and your life, one kind, one heart sort of thing. So Rick and Morty are being chased by Scary Terry. He's looking bad. He's very scary, and he's looks very dangerous with his knife hands. They go into the little girl's dream, but it's basically the same dream. So Rick says, "We've hit the bottom of the dreams, it seems." Or they could be in a different dream and Scary Terry can just travel through dreams. So it seems that Scary Terry has access, more access than to all the other areas than other characters in the dreams. It gives you a little hint that Scary Terry is at the root of it all. Somehow connected to the root. So Summer is in bed. Snuffles is confronting her about his testicles being missing, the mistreatment of the dog race. So Snuffles has got to hang up. Snuffles is rejecting the human race, and he's rejecting individuals he associates with the human race, which includes Summer, includes Jerry, includes Beth. Not so much Morty, because Morty was good to Snuffles. Snuffles loves Morty like a pet. Because Snuffles hasn't devalued Morty, because Morty's been easy to love and has loved Snuffles. And if we could all be easy to love, then this world would be quite a different place. But we make it hard for each other. So, anyways, there's probably a scene that I can skip, but I do remember that Scary Terry says, "You can run but you can't hide." He's literally an adversary. Like he doesn't like them. It's not that they don't like him. He doesn't like them. So he's not going to tell the truth to them because he's trying to catch them. Morty figures that out, and they hide, and they escape Scary Terry for 6 hours. Now, something about that. Oh yeah, it doesn't mean that you can't. It means that you can't rely on other people's words. That's what I get out of that. For me, I neither trust people nor do I distrust them. I just listen to them and see what I think of that at the time. I use discernment. If I distrusted them, then I'd miss out on everything that they're bringing to the table. I just wouldn't see it because I already distrust them. And if I did trust them, then I jump a giant chasm and end up on a conclusion that I haven't built a bridge to. That's what trust and faith and hope sort of is to me. It's the skipping of the step of using logic and just assuming something is reliable. So I don't trust anyone, but neither do I distrust them. I just try and see them where they are at. Every day I wake up, I throw out my images, throw them in the trash, the ones I've made of people. And when I meet them, I'm quite aware that they are not the image of them that I have in my mind. Move that to the side and see them where they're at right now, how they're coming across to me. So it looks like this video is going to be about 30 something minutes, 34 minutes. Hopefully all my videos are around that long. And when I redo the videos, it will be a lot shorter because you'll be able to watch along with me, and I can take out all the extraneous parts.
You're being very aggressive, Jerry. Perhaps tomorrow Dr. Scraps will solve that problem with a bit of surgery.
Huh. You think you can control me with a haircut?
So just then, Jerry was threatened with getting his testicles removed, but because he didn't understand what they were saying, he thought that they meant give him a haircut. He wasn't influenced by the magic of the meaning. He didn't get the meaning, so it didn't exist to him.
Hi, honey.
Now Scary Terry's home at his house. They've gone into Scary Terry. Oh no, they haven't. But Scary Terry, talking to his wife, he reveals that he's treating her mistreating her because of his anger, and he shouldn't take it out on her. So Scary Terry's got problems, and sometimes they overflow onto whoever's closest to him, even his family that he loves. But at least he's self-aware enough to understand that and to correct the errors. So now they're about to go into Scary Terry's dream. He's having a nightmare, so Morty says, what would scare Scary Terry? He's in school, he's late to class, he's scared about that, worried about that. He's not wearing pants, he's embarrassed about that. His teacher's picking on him, putting him in the spotlight, questioning him, basically interrogating him, and then devaluing his answers. So he's devaluing Terry's subjective speech, and that's the thing in school is they don't want unique answers. They want to teach you to throw away all your subjective creativity and subjective thought. It's not that they want to, but this is the effect of school, and then replace it with all these structure of rules and structure of how things are. Rick and Morty stands up to the teacher, says, you know, let him say whatever he wants. Free subjective speech. Not freedom of speech, because freedom of speech implies objectivity. I can say what I want, but I can also say things as truth claims and as objective facts. That just leads to a whole society fighting over what is true. Free subjective speech means be yourself and speak your mind and admit that it's yours, and that's not necessarily the truth. Morty gives him some pants, says, "Don't trip, dog. You're our mate," and you know, makes Terry feel like he belongs and that he's okay, he's good enough. And Terry wakes up with a huge smile on his face, and here's Rick and Morty, and he's like, "Hey, you guys." He's feeling really appreciative, feels like he belongs, like he's part of a family. He says, "If you need anything, just say so." And they ask him for help. So now he's traveling through the dreams with them, and he's killing the people whose dreams they're in, one by one. And they're back into the first dream, and he nukes the teacher and says, "This is because you don't give Morty A's in maths class." Now it's not that Scary Terry nuked him. It's not that Scary Terry said you need to give Morty good grades. Of course not. Scary Terry himself is a repressed memory of the teacher. So Scary Terry's fears are the teacher's fears, and you know, Scary Terry's being taught what to think and how to do things and the rules, which is how the teacher was. I will give him F's because the rules say da 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 da. When they changed Scary Terry's ability to be the authority of himself and have free subjective speech. He can say whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants. They've gotten to the root of the teacher's emotions and freed him a little bit. Now the teacher is totally appreciative and wants to give Morty an A in math, and he says, that's my idea. It is his idea. He can have ideas now. He can have subjective thought and be the authority. Subjectivity can be the authority, even more authoritative than objective truth or objective authorities, which don't exist. They're just a changing of signposts so that we are subservient to an external force, and it can control us, and we no longer have authority to say what is true for us. So this episode has more in it than I thought. I don't know why I didn't like it.
Because he's smart. This is why I choose to get C's. Dad, Rick!
So it's nearly over.
Oh, thank God,
You're welcome. All right, let's get out of here. We hurry.
Summer said that when Snuffles got smart, he became mean, and she correlated smartness to meanness. There is a correlation, but it's not that Snuffles is smart. That's not why he's mean. He's mean because he thinks that what he thinks is objective. Like, if I think I know something, then I go off that. And if I think that the human race treated me badly, treated my people badly, then I'm going to act and feel as if that's true. But if you don't know anything, if it's all subjective thought, you can change such things. And that's even more intelligent than having a tree of knowledge that tells you what's true.
I have an idea.
Gary has an idea. It's not going to end well. He pees on the he pees on the ground and says that means I own this area or whatever, the things in the area. And Snuffles rubs his face in it, doing just what he was taught he meant to do. Snuffles is still trying to control the world, same as Jerry.
Leave you with your testicles. From now on, you will be my best friend and live by my side.
And Snuffles is going to treat Morty well, right?
Begin phase 2.
But he's still going to conquer the world and all the people. So he's got special sentiment for Morty. And I guess that's because they shared a bond, a real bond. You know, they spent time together. There was chemistry, happiness, no disrespect to come between them and make them scared of each other or hate each other. No reason to come up with reasons for rejection or to devalue each other. So that's what friendship kind of is, or love is. It's kind of like not just saying I love you, but treating someone like you love them and not wanting to harm them. So Morty's woken up, he's enjoying himself. Rick's revealing that this is just a dream. This is Snuffles' dream. It's been 6 months, but in dreams, time moves slower, so it's only been 6 hours.
It's like Inception, Morty, so it's confusing and stupid, and so is everyone's favorite movie. Oh man, you really like this life. Well, at least I didn't really crap my pants. No, that happened before you went to sleep, Morty. You're sleeping in your crap right now. Out of all the things that happened to you, that was the only real thing that, is you crapped your pants. I mean, it's a mess out there. I got some on
Rick got some of Morty's crap on his hands. Maybe that's a reference to how other people behave, how it can affect us. Rick gives Morty some pills, which are going to make his kidneys shut down. And if you remember, Rick said if you die in a dream, you die in real life. So again, it shows how reckless Rick is with Morty's life and what he puts him through just to accomplish goals. So now Morty's on the table dysfunctional kidneys, the medical costs is insane. Like, he's basically at a veterinarian. And Snuffles says, I'd give everything for my pet Morty. The other dog says, is it worth it? And because they wouldn't have done this for us. The humans wouldn't have done this for us. And Snuffles responds with, we are not them. So, in this dream, Snuffles is being manipulated by something that he values being lost. To see the compassion inside of him for Morty. And in doing so, that's where he's come to the conclusion that we're not like them. However, humans have that same compassion, obviously. So, it's sort of wrong. But what matters here is that Snuffles realizes his own compassion, and now Snuffles wakes up, and he's going to do the right thing now that he knows that he is a compassionate creature, and he doesn't want to do what the humans did. Sorry for that. That was the best I can do.
And one where pet insurance will be mandatory.
I'm gonna miss you, Snowball.
You can call me Snuffles, Morty, and I'm going to miss you too.
Oh.
Very much.
Okay, I think that's about it, Usually there's something at the end of Rick and Morty, but in this particular one, the only thing is that Morty says something about, what do you think that the world that the dogs are going to is going to be like? And Rick said, it's going to be great.
It could be developed into a very satisfying project for people of all ages.
A satisfying project?
For at least 11 minutes of pop. Maybe they'll do it board driven.
For maybe $11 a pop, I think he might have said. So it basically would be corrupted by the acquiring of profit or capitalism or something. I think that's what he's referring to. Wherever there is structure in place that doesn't have rules in place to prevent corruption, things become corrupt. I don't think I really need to explain that, but if, we think we have a democracy, but we elect people to make the rules for us. That's not really a democracy, because in a real democracy, we would vote on the rules themselves. We'd have some say on what the policies are, but we don't. We elect people to make those policies and those decisions for us, which is interesting because you can't rely on someone else to do the right thing. What happens is, because there's a government system set up and there's nothing in place to stop it, no rules to stop it from happening, what happens is anyone and their mums who want to make some money, I don't know what money prime ministers and presidents are on, but anyone who wants to make at least $800,000 over 4 years' time and then get a retirement pension will want the job. And so we're incentivizing the wrong people to run for government, and then we're electing out of a group of people who don't necessarily go into it for the right reasons, and we elect one of them to be our leaders. It's just, you need something in place in every system to prevent corruption. And new world, okay, that means that the dogs know all the errors, all the things they see that's wrong with human society, and they're going to start again, and they're going to start from scratch and build something with less errors in it, which is a great way to do things. And we should take something from that, because what humans I see tend to do is they get on a road and it gains momentum, and then if you invented something and your invention didn't work, if you kept trying to improve on that already invented object, you've already got errors within it, and so you're only correcting it on the shallow surface. If you just said, oh well, I'll start again, now I know that doesn't work, start again and try something new, then you're much more likely to get an actual working system, working product. Anyway, that's all I'll say on that. I'll make you aware that there is a like and subscribe button. There's probably other buttons. I don't know very much about YouTube, but if you want to click them, click them. If you don't want to click them, then don't click them. Thanks for joining me. I'll do much more of these. I'd love your feedback. Anything you can say about how I could improve these, I would improve them if I could think of ways, you know. Anything that you think of that you feel would make it better for you, yeah, throw it out there. I'll respond to all comments. I'll respond to all ideas, at least in the comments section or in the descriptions. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you want more, let me know. If you enjoyed this, let me know. And I'll do some more. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day, and have a great time learning that you don't know anything.